It has been 2 years since Blackout Revival released. When this game was revealed, everyone thought Criminality was done for. The sneak peeks were promising, showcasing tons of features the Criminality fans could only dream of. If you put all of the sneak peeks together, they in total got 1 million views on YouTube alone. People liked what they saw and they wanted to play it. On launch, Blackout got 5,000 players, way more than Criminality, and so the future for this game looked bright. But as the days passed, the player count just kept dropping and dropping. Fast forward to today, the game can't even get 1,000 players anymore. So what happened? How did a game this big with this much attention lose players so fast? When you ask people about this, they will always say that the main reason why this game failed is because it was paid. And personally, I don't really agree with this statement. There's many games on Roblox that have become successful without being free. Take for example Deep Broken. Another thing to note is that paid games usually have less cheaters, because every time the cheaters get banned, they need to buy the game again. It also makes it so the game doesn't need heavy monetization to be financially viable. So from one side, having Blackout as a paid game is not that bad. Unfortunately, the problem is much more complicated than that. I think one of the main issues is that the game's identity has heavily shifted. Now, if you didn't know this already, the reason why Blackout Revival has Revival in the name is because Blackout also existed in 2021. This version of the game was much more simple and akin to its competitor Criminality. It was more focused on normal PvP with normal weapons. People liked this version of the game so much that it was taken down off of Roblox, and from what we know, it was because of an unspecified model. But if you've been in this community for a while, you know very well who actually took it down and why. After the game was taken down, it was radio silence. No news, no updates, absolutely nothing. Until Silver, the developer, made an announcement. In this announcement, he talks about how he was frustrated with the game being deleted and that he was now working on it again. He also says that the game was going to change mechanically and visually to differentiate itself from other games in the genre. And this on paper sounded very good. The first sneak peek showed off the game's brand new lockpicking system that was leagues ahead of Criminality's 2D boring system. Then, the second sneak peek showed off the game's parkour system, clearly inspired from the game Dying Light. At this point, it was clear. The game was trying to become a looter shooter combined with the street game genre. And this was received positively by the majority of the community. Criminality really never had any long-term progression apart from the leveling system, and so that's what I feel like people were craving for with this game. Sneak peeks kept dropping, showcasing features like NPCs, party systems, guns, etc. The game then released on December 1st, 2023, and at first people liked the game, but then the cracks started to show up. The level requirements for some items were way too high. A lot of features were downgraded. For example, the bunker raid was completely different. The trailer showed actual objectives and it being more like a mission. NPCs were also downgraded heavily. In the sneak peeks you can see them being way more reactive and smooth, but now they are just walking punching bags that have absolutely no brain. Some features were also completely cut, like armor attachments, and the map was lifeless and didn't have any charm like Sector 07 in Criminality. There was just a lack of recognizable locations, and every building just looked the same. The game just looked depressing with this gray sky, and to top it all off, the game's performance was terrible to say the least. Now, the good news is that these issues eventually got fixed in future updates. But honestly, if the game stayed a little bit more in the oven, I think it could have had a better launch. The game then received a new update that completely changed the game and its direction. And honestly, this is where I think the game started to shift away from its original vision. The update on January 29th changed the game completely, with the addition of the Operator armor set that could be obtained through the Waves event raid in Bunker, which required one red keycard. Unlike other armors, this one had insane stats, letting you take insane amounts of damage and still be in the fight. Now, don't get me wrong, I don't dislike the ideas of strong and fun items in video games. Actually, one of my main criticisms about Blackout back then was that there were no fun items like in Criminality. The lack of fun items. Okay, so according to the Blackout's user interface, the game takes place in 2047. And yet, there is no fun items, futuristic stuff. In Criminality, you have the Slayer, the Necromancer, and many more which can only be accessed during certain times of the year. But the problem was that in Blackout, this armor set became a staple of the game and could be accessed at any time very easily, because the raid you had to do to get the armor pieces wasn't hard in the first place. It was just boring and tedious. This created massive balancing issues. People were using these armors in big groups and basically stomping entire servers. Then people discovered that you could do this event/raid in small servers and still get the armor pieces for the operator. And so people started splitting up into different servers and farm. This killed the game for me, because now if you try to play Blackout, if you go to the server list, most servers are just dead servers with 3 or 6 people that are just farming.
Oh my fucking... Nah.
Sold by most players.
Yeah,
all servers.
Sold by players.
All servers.
This is all servers.
All servers.
Yes.
All servers.
Yes, this is all servers. All regions. Bro.
What the fuck?
And there will usually be one single PvP server, which means that if you don't want to fight certain people, or maybe the top server isn't in your region, you're screwed and you cannot play the game. Compare this to Criminality, where there is many big servers and most of them just PvP. The Rolling Skies update then released. This update introduced a new armor set called the Commander, which was just the operator, but it had a drone on top of it that shoots rockets at people. This further pushed the game into this direction where the main PvP was just about these armor sets. The economy is also to blame for this. Normal guns basically have no value. Losing a full kit in Blackout is meaningless because you can just go back to the dealer and buy the same kit again for basically nothing. In Criminality, guns are much more expensive, and if you don't make a profit with them, you're gonna lose a ton of money. Now, I assume that in Blackout, this was done to compensate for the presence of these armor sets, given the fact that you're gonna be dying to them a lot. But you see, that's the issue. These armor sets basically became the main focus of the PvP, the main focus of the game, which is stupid. I just don't feel anything when I play with a normal kit, because if I die, I can just buy it back again. Who cares? This makes getting kills meaningless, since it just doesn't matter if you live or die. Getting kills in Criminality is satisfying, because with each kill, you're getting closer and closer to making a profit. And this feeling is completely missing from Blackout, and it is absolutely needed in a game of this genre. I'm not saying you can't play without one of these sets. With the right skills, you can take one down yourself with a multitude of weapons, like the Photon Accelerator. No way! Or even melee weapons. Yo, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god! I got him! I'm just saying that the main PvP is boring. There's just no stakes in it. The main normal PvP should be the priority in this game, because that's what people will do when they first play the game. In Criminality, armor sets like the Slayer and the Necromancer aren't the main focus of the game. They can be easily killed with a big group of people, but nonetheless, they are still fun to use and provide people with the power fantasy of killing everyone in the server. Towards the end of 2024, we then get the first in-game event, Frosted Frights. This event introduced the final armor set called the Blade Dancer. Now, unlike other armor sets, its addition actually made the game better in terms of normal PvP. When this armor set was added, the only way to obtain the pieces was to turn in the bounty cards at the Spectral Market, an exclusive location for the Frosted Frights event. This put more emphasis on the normal PvP, because now if you have a ton of bounty cards on you and you die, you will lose all of the rewards you could have gotten at the Spectral Market. So during this event, fights actually had stakes. I'm gonna lose it. Wait! Yo! I got it! People were actually bounty hunting each other, and it would create moments where people would camp the market to steal the bounty cards before you turn them in. I cannot stress enough how good of an addition this was to the game, because it actually encouraged PvP for once instead of farming. As for the armor itself, it was by far the strongest one out of the three, able to take out both aforementioned armor sets in Choose Wings on the head with its signature melee weapon, the Photon Blades. But still, this event didn't fix the game's main issue, which is the presence of these armor sets. They are way too easy to get. Once again, I am not against the idea of overpowered items. I actually quite like them, but their execution is just poor and just makes the game worse. The problem is that if you make it this easy to get these overpowered items, then people are just gonna keep using them and normal items will have absolutely no value. There is also no timer on these armor sets, so once you equip them you can just keep them forever until you die, which is stupid. This lets people be able to camp and constantly abuse the force field mechanic so that they can wait and strike at the right time. This also lets people hoard multiple kits on multiple accounts, which makes the problem even worse. But anyways, right after this update, the game had a massive content drought. Literally 0 updates. And that's because the developers were working on a new PvE zombie game mode called the Final Eclipse. When they revealed this game mode, the developers said it was gonna be free, which was a huge surprise for everyone. This means that now the PvE mode could bring more people into Blackout and therefore grow the community. And for a while it did. Blackout was getting insane numbers, but then everything went back to normal again. The game mode lacked replayability and the onboarding was terrible to say the least. Yes, people were trying the game, but they weren't staying because they had no idea what to do.
Is that a lot of people don't understand this, and so they'll vote to skip the shop phase immediately, and then when that doesn't happen and they have to just stand around doing nothing because they don't understand the gameplay loop, then they quit, and then that's one less person that you have playing with you. I saw this happen time and time and time again. People just get bored and they quit out.
There was also just a lack of updates on this game mode, and it wouldn't get an update until the end of 2025 with the second edition of the Frosted Frights event, which was underwhelming to say the least. For the Final Eclipse, this event added a new map in the game mode, but the problem is that this map is insanely broken. It is literally unplayable, and it is still unplayable to this very day. The NPCs on this map will start tripping and completely ignore you.
Then what are they doing?
I don't know what they're doing, bro. Out of
They're
bounds
walking
warning,
into
I'm
walls.
literally just standing
They're
up.
walking into.
I am.
Look at this one. Look at
What
that
is
one.
he doing? He's on the hill. What is bro doing? What? He teleported. What? What?
No, he's
Dude, this map is cool.
And overall, the whole server will start to lag, which just makes for a terrible experience.
How? How do we get all the kills out? What?
I'm passing. No.
Doesn't work.
No, there's no way.
No.
What?
It doesn't
What
work.
do you mean I reached my map? What?
It's just selective work for me.
Fucking game is cooked.
It really makes you wonder, has any testing been done on this map? But still, even when the map works, it's just not that good. The ending doesn't even have a boss fight like the other map, which is kinda lazy. As for the PvP game mode, now called Killzone, the Frosted Frights event was literally just a copy-paste from last year, with the only new addition being an attachment rework and the addition of the Dark Combat Inhaler, which let you play as a random zombie from the Final Eclipse. Which was extremely broken, by the way. The zombies were overpowered on day 1 and almost unkillable. Once again, was any testing done to make sure these items were balanced? Probably not. The event was so copy-pasted that you could literally use the points from last year's event in the new one to buy the rewards. I'm not making that up. After this event, all we got was like balancing patches that changed the weapon stats, a new round type for pistols which no one really asked for, a mediocre pinging system, and that's it. To be honest, if you take all of these updates, you could say that Killzone hasn't had a meaningful update in almost 2 years. Every update after Roaring Skies, or maybe after 2024, was literally just balancing patches. Some new additions here and there, but nothing that could actually bring people back. When people saw the Blackout sneak peeks, they expected a game like Criminality, but as a looter shooter.
Criminality. Bro, this game, you could just tell this game's shit, bro.
Now, I'm not trying to say that the game should have been a Criminality clone. They've specified it multiple times that they want to be different from that game. However, what we have today is not even close to what we were expecting. Blackout Killzone calls itself a looter shooter, but it doesn't really feel like one. There's no reason to loot normal weapons from crates unless they have some kind of special bullet type. You can't get guns out of the people you kill, and looting the rest of the map is pointless once you're like level 10. Why should I loot when I can just buy weapons, armor, heals, and everything else out of dealers? The game needs to shift back to its original vision of being a more grounded experience, where your loot matters, and not what we have today, where you can lose a kit and then buy it back right after. The game has many more issues, but I obviously cannot cover all of them in one single video. But there is one more issue I want to give a spotlight to: cheaters. Cheating in this game is rampant. There have been weeks where me and my friends have found dozens of cheaters. And in a game like this, cheaters can be detrimental to the gameplay experience. If there is a rage hacker, the whole game becomes unplayable, as they will keep server hopping and killing everyone. Now, I know that at the start of the video I said that paid games usually have less cheaters, but usually those games have actual anti-cheats. Blackout doesn't have anything like that. Hackers can go invisible.
Run.
Cheater! I can get back, cheater! I'm dead. I got fucking killed. He's cheating! Bro!
Eclipse.
Fly around the map, fling you,
The fuck? Bro. What?
kill you through walls, and much more.
Come on, more.
What? Where?
Then you have closet cheaters.
Got this.
Closet cheaters are those cheaters that use lighter, less obvious cheats like recoil control macros or aimbot. I won't make names, but if you still play the game, you know exactly what I'm talking about. There's a lot of people in this game that just hit impossible shots constantly and then try to play it off as quote-unquote skill.
Oh my god.
556 here.
That guy is not legit. What the fuck?
Legit? What do you mean?
There's
That's just
all
my aim.
fucking heads on me.
Stop. Bro, actually, stop making fun of me. That's just my aim. Simon?
What is that?
What, bro?
So why did this happen? How did the game get to this point? The game tried to become too different from its inspiration and ended up straying away from its original vision way too much. And I feel like this is a result of a lack of care on the playtesting side of things and also the developers a little bit. Let me explain. The update schedule for this game is terrible. Updates are not predictable at all, and the marketing for them is non-existent. The only update that got any sort of marketing was Roaring Skies, which is the last update I deemed to be meaningful to the player experience. It seems like that the only two programmers on the game, Silver and Thunder, are busy with university and other life responsibilities. And look, that's completely fine. However, it does not excuse the state that they have left this game in. There is still so many bugs and design flaws that have been in the game for almost a year now. If they actually don't have the time to work on meaningful game updates, that's fine, but at least fix some of the bugs to make the player experience better while you're gone. The Blade Dancer armor is by far the biggest offender here. The Photon Blade's launch attack has been broken for its entire existence. What this attack is supposed to do is send a fast projectile towards your target, kinda like a guided missile, but most of the time it just doesn't work. Somehow people just keep deflecting it, which is clearly not intended.
I need to try reviving.
Or sometimes it will just miss entirely. The teleporting abilities of the Blade Dancer are also extremely buggy. Sometimes the teleports will just not go through, despite the enemy being in clear line of sight. As for design flaws, now we can start talking about the playtesting side of things. Okay, so Blackout has testers, and that's a good thing. Testers can help developers make educated decisions on what's right for the game by giving them valuable feedback. However, I don't believe the current tester team was chosen based on merit or their contributions to the game. To be fair, the owners are free to pick whoever they want, but I think several positions were given to people not because of their contributions or engagement with the game, but because of their friendships with the staff members. And let's face it, most testers do not play the game, and some of them haven't touched the game in years. I'm not saying this to stir up drama. This is a genuine critique that I have for the game, and I can prove it to you right now. Before I do show you anything though, please do not send hate to these people because it is just a game at the end of the day. Okay, so recently a Blackout YouTuber made a video where he interviewed some of the Blackout moderators. Keep in mind that some moderators are also considered testers. During this video, the YouTuber asks if Metro, the underground area, was going to be reworked in the new map. Now, just to give you a perspective of what Metro is the underground section of the map. it is by far one of the worst places to fight in and also one of the ugliest. Most of it is just straight hallways with random rooms along the way that are just dead ends. It is the home to the Scourge Arena, a place where you can 1v1 NPCs, and if you win all the rounds, you get to pick your reward. During this activity, you will be put into a cage. When this was first added, people found out you could exploit this and throw flashbangs at people to grief their fights. And you wanna know how they fixed it? They made it so grenades could not be used on this part of the map at all. And trust me, this will make sense soon. The moderator then answers with this.
I think the arena's gonna get moved, so you can't really
Yeah,
bother
sketch.
people anymore with the flashbangs and everything.
What the fuck is this?
What?
Is this
What?
Is this interview like 5 years old, bro?
Somehow, the moderator didn't know that throwing flashbangs at people in Scourge hasn't been possible for the past 2 years, which I find to be hilarious. And before you guys comment, oh, he doesn't play the game 24/7 like you, he just never fights in that area. That really doesn't matter. You don't need to play the game 24/7 to know that Scourge works like this. The grenade restrictions they have added are really obnoxious and made Scourge an insanely annoying area to fight in. There is no flank, Scourge only has one entrance, visibility is extremely low, and most importantly, like I just said, you cannot throw grenades in there. By the way, this grenade restriction doesn't just affect grenades, it also affects the Blade Dancer lunge, the charged photon accelerator, and ammo boxes, which have absolutely no way to grief people inside the cage.
Okay, let me do one. Okay, let me just type. Okay. Let me just.
So pretty much, if there is people camping this area, there is really nothing you can do unless you can somehow outnumber them. But yeah, this was pretty funny to see in the interview. Maybe he didn't remember or something, and you know, that's fine. Like I said, please don't send hate to these people because it's just a game. Another example of testers not playing the game can be found in the Discord server. Here you can see this guy say that he hasn't played the game ever since the Mac 500 was added, and that was months ago from when this message was written. Also, this guy somehow still hasn't reached level 50, which is insane. Just to give you a perspective, I was able to reach level 50 on 2 different accounts, because the maximum level has been locked for the past 2 years. Also, the feedback that got him promoted to tester was horrible. Just listen to what he said.
Like the operator armor. One of the dumbest things I have ever seen added to a PvP game ever. And that is not an exaggeration. It has no counters that are even remotely obtainable through normal methods.
Like I said before, it's up to them who they want to make tester, but I just don't understand how you could hire someone with these types of opinions and with this mindset. And here you can see this guy say that the Killzone game mode is ass. If you're gonna say that the game mode is ass, then you really shouldn't be playtesting it. Because at the end of the day, some of your feedback might have actually influenced the state that this game is currently in. Obviously, I don't know what's going on behind the scenes, but that is the impression that I'm getting as a player. And finally, let's just look at the tester list for a second and see who else is part of the tester team. Okay, so we have RBVC? What the fuck is this guy doing here? I think the only time that this guy played the game was when they released the sneak peek showcasing the bunker raid. That's it. Then we have Mr. Green Glowstick himself.
Yo, Mr. Green Glowstick, bro.
What the fuck are we doing? This guy is not even part of the Blackout Discord server. Then we have Sketch and Corny. What? These people haven't touched the game in years. Why do they have tester? Why? As for the rest of the people on this list, the majority of them don't play the game anymore or just play it once in a blue moon. So, what am I trying to say with this? Your testers need to be actively playing the game and actually have an interest in the game. I'm not saying every tester should be a sweatlord with 10 level 50 accounts on their back. That's not what I'm saying. It's actually good to have both perspectives. You need the perspective of both tryhard players and casuals to make the right decisions. However, it kind of feels like most of the current tester team doesn't care about the game anymore, as proven with what I just showed you. This negligence towards the qualification for testers has, I think, introduced a lot of design flaws in the game. For example, when the greatsword was added, it was able to block photon blades, which was just insane.
Go, right? 3, 2, 1, go.
What?
And photon blades aren't just any item, they are by far the most valuable contraband weapon that can only be obtained through red keycards. Meanwhile, the greatsword was just an item you could buy from dealers effortlessly. It just made no sense for such a cheap weapon to counter such a valuable item. Another example is the ending to the access denied task. For some reason, the developers thought it was a good idea to make it so when you got out, every single team member would get a random exit. This meant that you could get split up with your team for no reason and be an easy target. Now, thankfully, both these issues I just talked about have been addressed. But still, how does this stuff get through testing? Like, are they even testing? Because I think any good tester would immediately speak out about these things. So yeah, I don't really know what's going on with the tester team in Blackout. So, how can Blackout save itself? I think the entire PvP mode needs a complete revamp and a return to origins. While people do like the futuristic and overpowered items, they have taken too much of the spotlight off the normal PvP, which is what people were mostly looking towards when the game first released. I'm not saying they should remove them, but they need to be more special and rare so that other items in the game can still shine and have value. Also, we need a more stable update schedule with new content dropping at least every 2 months. And look, honestly, if they can't do any of this, I think it's just time to sell the game to someone else. I don't really know. It's really sad to see a game this high quality being left in the dust like this because they have the framework and everything, but they just aren't taking advantage of it. Also, later this year, Roblox will start requiring age checks to play games rated above moderate. And unfortunately, Blackout is a game that falls under that criteria. I think this will make the game lose even more players. And unfortunately, there's really nothing they can do unless they change some of the mechanics in the game. So yeah, this game is cooked.
Oh, never mind, I'm leaving. There's a hacker.